Tavor 7, first shots, first 100, and first Tavor for me. I have never shot a Tavor, and this is a hell of a one to start out with, isn't it? .762 by 51, that's 308 Winchester. So I literally have no idea what to expect. I'm sure I've got an Aimpoint Pro that I just stuck on here, and I'm positive that it is probably nowhere near zero. Hopefully it's not too far off, and it'll allow me to get on paper and start to fine tune it. I'm pretty close to my target, and I'm pretty close to the berm just to make sure. I don't want to have any rounds go where they're not intended to go. I'll tell you details as we go. The idea today is a first 100, and then I'm going to do a detailed review. You'll see that on Guns America, so definitely be on the lookout for that. For right now, I'm just going to get an idea how bad my shoulder is going to hurt by the end of the day. Now, one of the new features for the Tavor 7 is this slap-down charging handle capability. That's nice. That's very nice. All right, here we go, kids. All right, that's 3 rounds. No sense wasting a bunch of ammo. I'm about, looks like maybe 6 inches low, and I'm close to my target, so I'm going to make some adjustment to the sight. Now I'll tell you that that recoil is not nearly as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting to be crying by the time I finished a magazine, and I may still, because you know I am the crying type, but not bad at all. All right, guys, let me dial this sight in a little bit, and I'll be right back. I did a little bit of tweaking on my optic, Aimpoint Pro. I do really love this bolt position here, that lock position where you can just slap it down. All right, let's see if I can put some in the orange dot. I know you can't see it. I'm not ready to show you the target just yet. Magazine release works great. All right, that got me pretty close. Okay. All right, I think I've got a pretty good 25 yards zero. I'll just show you what I've got. Because I'm having ammunition problems. And I may not be able to do a first 100 for a completely different reason than why I initially thought. But there's my sight in. This is my first 2 rounds. First 2 shots were up here. And then I tweaked it just a little bit more to bring it down, so looking good there at 25. So it's going to print differently when I move back, but it should certainly be on paper. I'm real happy with the way it's shooting. Just not happy with the way it's shooting that Tula ammo. That's what I'm talking about. All right, well, today is definitely one for the best laid plans of mice and men category. So I bought 1,000 rounds, no, not 1,000, I bought 500 rounds, thank God, 500 rounds of this Tula steel cased 308, 150 grain, yada, yada, yada. Problem is, about half or even less than half will fire because they apparently have extremely hard primers. And the primers also seem to be set a little extra deep too, but I think the biggest problem is that the primers are very hard. And the Tavor is obviously having a problem with those hard primers. So this is the bulk of the ammo that I have and that I brought with me. So I do have a little bit of decent stuff. I've got 5 rounds left of Agula, which is what I was using initially. So I've got this magazine with whatever was left in this box, and however many shoot. The ones that don't are going to get shucked out, picked up later, and then I'm going to try and find the best use of these last 25, because, man, I hate to rip you guys off. For close quarter work, which is really what this rifle is designed for, this Aimpoint Pro is a perfect optic, and having it dialed in at 25 yards is probably a nice distance, because if you're a little closer it won't make that much difference. If you're a little further away it won't make that much difference. So enough yakking. It's going to be the first less than 100. It's going to be however many it is. Alright, so I'm just going to shoot the remainder of this Tula ammo as best as I can from here, and then I'll get up on my feet and I'll take some freestyle shots with the brass. How's that sound? So while I'm experiencing this misery, let me talk to you a little bit about the rifle. I like the trigger. I know bullpup triggers are not the best because of all that linkage that they have to have, but this trigger, I'm not minding it a bit. Now, if I got to where I was shooting this thing, you know, for a full day and really getting fussy with it, I might start to complain about it a little bit. But so far, I don't mind the trigger a bit. The gun is comfortable. It's ergonomic. Right now, well, besides this crap ammo not shooting, the big story is that this thing handles this recoil extremely well. I'm almost awestruck because I expected to be just beaten to death, and it is quite pleasant to shoot. I mean, that's it right there. There's your recoil, and that is not bad. That, however, is bad. Okay, what else? The front handguard that you see right here comes off easily once you figure it out. It took me a while to figure it out because you got to push to one side of the release button, not straight in. But once you figure it out, it slides on and off easily, and then you have your Picatinny rail underneath, so you can put it in a really nice bipod like this one from Tier 1. All right. It's almost like every other round fires. It's really, really annoying. Sometimes every third, maybe every fourth. Oh God, what misery. You've all experienced this, right? Come to the range and you have, it may not be ammo related problems, but you have some kind of problem that just sucks the fun right out of your day, right? Because I brought a bunch of this ammo. You know, I had a couple hundred rounds. Man, I was ready to give you guys a show. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen with 25 rounds of good ammo left. Oh man. Oh man. All right. So what else do I like? Ambidextrous everything on this rifle. You can make the ejection and the charging handle also opposite side for left-hand shooters. The bolt can be switched over for left-hand shooters so that it ejects left, or actually so that it ejects, yeah, ejects left. I will do that later. I'm not certainly not going to do that today. I will do all that later. I like that it comes with a couple of nice sling swivels. Ergonomics are okay. The handle is a little bit weird because it puts my middle finger so far below the trigger. I always want to keep putting my hand right up in here, put my finger behind the trigger because it just seems like it should be higher. So that's a little bit strange. Although I know there are some aftermarkets, or will be some aftermarkets, grips available. Oh man, this is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. The butt of the gun has a nice texture on it. It has, I'm going to say, virtually no padding whatsoever. I mean, it's just hard plastic like the rest of the stock. So they didn't give us any kind of rubber butt pad, but from what I've felt so far, on the rare occasion when it actually goes bang, is that you don't need it. You really don't need it. You just need that grip, which it gives you. It gives you a nice texture. This magazine's got to be getting empty here soon. Yep. All right. And the bolt does lock back on an empty magazine, if you were able to see that. The magazine release is really nice. Just a push with the finger and it drops free every time. We get 1 round to fire out of that whole group. I think there were 8 rounds in there total. Pathetic. Very pathetic. Now I will say that obviously that Tula ammo is garbage. But I'm a little disappointed because I would like to see a more powerful firing pin. I would like to see the gun be able to handle that hard primer. Yeah, so it turns out that this first 100 video on the Tavor 7 became more about ammunition than about the gun itself, which is unfortunate because that's almost always going to be a negative thing. In advance of picking up this rifle and doing the range work with it, not only this first 100, but in preparation for doing a great deal of detailed work with the gun, I knew I was going to need a lot of ammo. I like to put a lot of rounds down range when I'm assessing something, especially something like this that's a little bit outside my comfort zone. But I don't like to break the bank when it comes to ammo, and for those of you who already shoot .308, you know .308 is not cheap. For you other handgun guys like me, think of it this way. Your average .308 round is about as expensive as your premium self-defense handgun round. So I picked up 500 rounds of Tula on sale, or, you know, at its regular bargain basement price, and it didn't go so well. Turns out the Tavor and Tula do not get along. They do not get along at all. So when I went to the range to do the first 100, I took mostly Tula ammo, and I was saving a lot of the other ammo for further work. I did take 1 box of Aguila, and I did take 1 box of Winchester. Both of those performed perfectly. The Tula, on the other hand, performed horribly. So I debated a little bit on how to approach this. Should I go back to the range on another range day with a whole bunch of different ammo and try to sort of make up for it? Or should I present what I have the way I have it? And I've decided the latter is the way I want to go. So when I first came up with the concept of doing the first 100 type of video, of which I've done many, the idea was to share with you the experience of putting the first rounds through a gun, you know, breaking it in, shooting it for the first time at the range, good, bad, or indifferent. And the idea, and the reason I call it first 100, the idea was that I would shoot around 100 rounds, more or less, and it's almost always more. Very seldom is it less. But I figured that was a good number. You put at least 100 rounds of ammo through something, and it gives you at least an idea, and you can start to form an opinion about the gun. In this case, it was far less than 100 rounds. It was about half that. And of course, that was because the Tula ammo does not shoot in the Tavor 7. The problem is essentially hard primers. They must be really hard primers. They must make these primers out of diamonds or something, because only about maybe 3 in 10 would shoot. And even trying restrikes on them didn't work. They would not fire. You can see the hard primers and what the firing pin strike looks like compared to the good primers in the few Tulas and in all of the brass cased. You can definitely tell the difference. So if I were not already planning to do a full review for Guns America on this rifle, I probably would not publish this first 100 the way it is. I probably would do more range work with it and either not do a first 100 at all and do a more in-depth review, or sort of do a first 100 in multiple parts type of thing. But I've decided that the experience is what it is. Certainly was what it was, and that's what I want to present. I will say this for commentary, though, going through what would turned out to be a miserable day at the range was in no part any fault of the rifle. This Tavor 7 is so far amazing, and I wish I had more rounds through it to be able to assert that, but I already have a very favorable opinion of this gun based on just 50 rounds or so. It is phenomenal. So the bad news is this first 100 kind of sucked. The good news is it wasn't the gun's fault. And the further good news is there's going to be a lot more to come. Keep an eye out for that. If you follow the channel on the Just an Opinion channel Facebook page, there will be information posted when that new review comes out. And you can see all the detail there. Meantime, I'm going to see if I can stock up on some better ammunition and get this thing back out to the range. Thanks for watching. Okay guys, I got 20 rounds of Winchester Super X. This stuff has a published velocity of like 2820. And since I can't shoot that Tula, this is it. This is the last 20 rounds I've got with me today. So let's make the most of it. I've got a target down range about 15 yards, and I'm just going to shoot freestyle. I've got the Handguard back on the Tavor now, which is very easy to do. I'm telling you, I'm really impressed with how it handles this recoil. I'm trying to get the hang of holding this thing comfortably. It is a heavy rifle. It's 9 pounds, which obviously helps with the recoil a lot, but makes it a bit tiring to hold. It is a shooter, though. We'll find out if they were able to achieve their 1.5 minute objective. Last thing I read, I think they were throwing in the towel and saying they couldn't really do it. I'm liking this thing, though. I am really liking it. And I believe that was it. Yep. Wow. So, kind of an anticlimactic first 100. What, it ended up being less than half of that.